Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for January 27th, 2020. Today we are going to discuss something I noticed on Twitter courtesy of the BBC, where the article reads that the UK will not be implementing the EU's copyright law. This comes courtesy of Chris Skidmore, the current Universities and Science Minister, who stated that once the UK leaves the EU, the UK will no longer be subjected to what I'd argue to be the most heavily criticised of EU laws or directives. There's more to this, and I think we should go into that. So firstly, we need to discuss what is Article 13. In short, Article 13 is a part of the EU's copyright directive. This particular directive covers how online content sharing services should deal with copyright-protected content, such as those from television programs and movies. It refers to services that primarily exist to give the public access to protected works or other protected subject matter uploaded by its users. So it is more than likely going to cover YouTube, Dailymotion, SoundCloud, Vimeo, and other such sites. The claims of exemptions would include non-profit online encyclopedias, open source software development platforms, cloud storage services, online marketplaces, and communications services. Article 13 says that content sharing services must license copyrighted protected material from the rights holders, and if that is not possible and material is posted on the service, the company may be liable unless it can demonstrate that it has made the best efforts to get permission from the copyright holder, it has made its best efforts to ensure that material specific or specified by rights holders was not made available quickly, and that it acted quickly to remove any infringing material of which it was made aware. The rules apply to services that have been available in the EU for more than 3 years, or have an annual turnover of more than 10 million euros. A number of people within the EU say that Article 13 in no way will affect legitimate users and people will be allowed to use bits of copyrighted protected material for the purpose of criticism, review, parody and pastiche, which is artistic work in a style that imitates that of another work artist or period. As many of you will undoubtedly remember, this and Article 11 were heavily criticised by many content creators. It wasn't just the creators, though, that went nuts on it. YouTube did too, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, I want to discuss how it got implemented in the first place, a refresher course in, air quotes, democracy for you. You see, there was a lot of confusion during the voting of this directive, which led to some MEPs admitting afterwards that they didn't know who or what they voted for. Somewhat annoyingly and interestingly, the United Kingdom voted for it, something which I fundamentally disagree with. Now, because it was voted through, all member states have until 2021 to implement this. As the United Kingdom leaves fully at the end of 2020, air quotes around leave fully, we are and will be exempt. I mentioned that YouTube themselves got involved in this. YouTube put out a number of statements over the few months that it was announced, and before it was voted on, and when it was voted upon, saying that this was bad. This entire thing was bad, to the point where they themselves had posited the idea that they themselves may well pull services out of Europe, something which I will freely admit terrified me a bit. No doubt, VPN sales went through the roof at that point. I do recall a number of creators shilling VPNs. I really should get one. I did see many debates, people discussing Articles 11 and 13, some saying it's just wrong because people are trying to control the internet and what people do on it. Others saying, yes, but it protects what belongs to you. Right. I tend to agree that we should protect what belongs to other people, but I don't believe Articles 11 and 13 fully or fairly deals with this. And I do feel somewhat terrible that a law masquerading as protecting copyright is being forced upon anyone, especially those that did not understand the vote or fundamentally disagree with it. No hint of irony there, I guess, with Brexit, but it is a false equivalence to anyone that decides to make that comparison. They are nothing alike. To go back to YouTube, because this is quite interesting. A few years ago, A German media company sued YouTube over what can be streamed, which is not authoritarian in the slightest, is it now? This took years to resolve and ended in a settlement. Do you remember seeing things like this? Yeah. This is why VPNs exist. Because people got so sick of what could and could not be viewed in their country, they went to Bearing's channel and got the discount code. Germany at one point had 61.5% of the most popular content blocked in its country because of control and copyright nonsense. I don't like that something like that is being allowed to spread, or because of copyright. My initial concern was that, say I went to Instagram and I put a picture of my Fender Stratocaster on it. Right. Does Fender own the copyright, or do I own the item, therefore the copyright? And what about the Tide Pool sticker now stuck on it because I like dead memes? The colour is Tide Pod, so I thought, yes, I'm clever. Do I not now own the copyright to the image now in the picture? And this is where people got very pedantic. But rightly so, because the concern was, if you actually stripped it back to its base level, who owned what? The person who took the picture, or what is in the picture? As that is something many debated, it is certainly worth discussing. And it caused a lot of confusion. As far as the voting in the EU Parliament goes, I am surprised that those that admitted they didn't understand what they voted for were not allowed or permitted to do it again, because they didn't understand what they voted for in the first place. And YouTube was right to flex, but it's a shame now that some may well be punished or be unable to see many, many good quality bits of content because of what the EU deems to be okay to be viewed. As with all these things I discuss on this channel, I'm very much interested to know what you think. I will happily concede I am not the most knowledgeable on Articles 11 and 13. As we are supposed to be leaving the EU, I didn't spend time learning much about it. And also I want to apologise for not mocking Skidmore's name. I could have, but I couldn't be bothered. Please do let me know in the comments below what you think, and have a lovely day.